I invite you, if it feels comfortable to you, to close your eyes or to soften your gaze, or just take a couple breaths, whatever it works for you to relax. Our hearts are full of love today and every day. How fortunate we are to have these moments together as a faith community and with God, by whatever name you are comfortable calling the deity. We are at home. Home, you know, is where the heart is. And when we are centered, as we are right here and right now, we find you, the divine, in our hearts. Can you feel this? This room is filled with love, with the peace of the Christ. We have the power to change our lives, to change the very world, whenever we turn within and align our minds and our hearts in you. With that in mind, let's take a few moments now in the silence, in gratitude, in recognition of our power and the power this community holds together, and the fact that within you is the divine. And when you feel ready, bring your attention back to this place, this moment, and the wondrous beings who are seated right around you. Are we good, guys? We're trying out, I've been told that I'm a guinea pig today to try out a new kind of microphone, and if you know me, you know I'm not real wild about new things, especially at the last minute, but the two gods of this building, Mike and my husband Joe, have said that it'll be fine, so it will be fine. It's like I have this little gnat or something. Anyway, we will move on. Here we are, smack dab in the middle of a cold, snowy winter. And there's so much going on in the world and in our country and everywhere else that concerns us. So it seems to me we need a break today. What do you think? Do we need a break? Okay, good. That doesn't mean I'm not going to speak. No. But I'm going to offer you some self-care. No preaching this time unless I get carried away by spirit at the very end. But just some stories and a couple questions here and there for you. Does that sound good? Okay. Since yesterday was Valentine's Day, we will certainly talk about love today. I mean, we must. We will look at some inspiring stories of love in the world and within ourselves. We will explore what makes us feel loved, what makes us feel love towards others. And because home is where the heart is, we will explore what makes us feel at home, what home represents to us. And we'll take a quick look at peace, something we all need more of these days. Can I get an amen on that one? Yeah, okay, peace. So now I'm simply going to tell you some stories, and in between each one, I'm going to give you a few moments to reflect on a question related to the story, so that we can all just relax. And if you fall asleep, I won't take it personally. Well, it depends on who it is. All right. A number of years ago, a young man named Brendan, who was hoping to land a job as a DJ, encountered a homeless woman near his Brooklyn apartment. She asked him for money. He said, quite honestly, that he had no money. By the end of the week, the woman, whose name was Jackie, had asked him for money 3 more times. Each time, he answered no. Finally, the next time she asked, Brendan told her, "I am on my way to a job interview. If I get the job, I'll take you out for Chinese." This promise led to a friendship neither was prepared for, a friendship that changed both of their lives and eventually touched many other lives. Brendan got the job, and he took Jackie out for dinner at a Chinese restaurant. Over time, they built a friendship of mutual support. They were very different as people. He was young and kind of a hip New Yorker, young man who happened to be white. She was a black lady, some years older than he was, and they had nothing in common, they thought at first, but they built a friendship, and they spent their birthdays, holidays, and hard times together over a period of 8 years. See what happens when you say yes instead of no? So, when Brendan's space heater in his tiny apartment broke, Jackie made him a blanket. When he eventually lost his job, she took him a few groceries. And she continued to bring him food throughout that cold winter until he found a job. Even though she had very little herself, often not even a place to sleep, she never hesitated to share what she had with Brendan, and vice versa. After a few years, with Brendan's help and the support of several nonprofit agencies, Jackie was finally able to secure a modest apartment of her own. To celebrate this triumph, Brendan was determined to do something special for her. He went with her to Target and helped her pick out everything she would need for her apartment. But he couldn't afford to buy the items for her, so he listed them in a registry. And then he started a campaign to raise money so she could purchase these items, and he was hoping that he could raise $500. The video he created to tell Jackie's story raised more than $6,000, and all the extra money received went to support other women in need in the New York area. This story reminds us of the importance and the reward of loving our neighbors and of taking the risk to reach out. Both Jackie and Brendan had to step out of their comfort zone in order to form this friendship that ended up bringing joy to both of them. Okay, here's the question for you to think about for a couple minutes. Think of a time that you stepped out of your comfort zone to give love or compassion to someone. Or can you recall a moment when someone else stepped up to give love, compassion, or care to you? So I'll give you a few moments to think about it. Are we ready to move on? Okay. Here's our second story. This one's also based in New York City, coincidentally. A nonprofit organization based in New York unexpectedly received $10,000 in a legal settlement. Activist Shane Claiborne tells the story of what happened next. I'm going to read his quote. "We thought this money rightly belonged to those in need, the folks on the street, the people we served every day, because we got the money as a result of our activism on behalf of homeless people. So we decided to give the money directly to those in need. No paperwork, no strings attached." Here's the plan that they used to distribute this money. They decided to distribute it on Wall Street. Wall Street, a place where the power of money is worshiped and celebrated. The organizers spread the word, among local nonprofit groups who invited those in need to show up on a specific day at a specific time. On that day, the nonprofit stationed dozens of people on the street, many of whom were their clients, their pockets stuffed with money in both large and small bills, ready to distribute the funds when they got the signal to begin. Dozens of people arrived, and then dozens more. A number of police officers were there, and when people in the crowd said, "When is the money going to be given out?" the police said it was a hoax because they thought it was. It hadn't been publicized. They thought it was a hoax, and they told them to go home. But the people stayed there, they remained there, and they were standing quietly. Think about it. If you didn't have the money to pay your rent or to buy groceries, and you went there because somebody might give you a little bit of money, you would think there might be some jockeying for position, perhaps, although they didn't know where it was going to come from, or there could be, irritation, but no. They stood there very quietly, totally unaware that those around them within the crowd were soon to be their benefactors, the people that had been planted there, okay? Now, many of you know this. Every day, Monday through Friday, at precisely 9 a.m. Eastern Time, a bell rings on Wall Street to signal the opening of the New York Stock Exchange. This is a tradition that began in the 1870s as both a ceremony and a way to generate media attention. It is a privilege to ring the bell, a privilege extended usually to wealthy executives, celebrities, or other VIPs. And the worldwide media outlets record that moment each day, which is why the world is watching, right? Just before the bell rang this day, with the attention of the whole world on Wall Street, a voice on a loudspeaker within the crowd announced, "We believe another world is possible, a world where everyone has what they need and there's no longer this deep inequity." And then, as the New York Stock Exchange bell rang out, the distribution of money began. This is the fun part. People on bikes were tossing handfuls of bills to everyone around them. Others handed out coffee mugs filled with bills, hundreds of dollars, overflowing. People on balconies had been sent up there to throw the cash down, and it was drifting down to the earth like confetti. A street sweeper soon found his dustpan filled with money. He looked at it, and he looked around, and he said, "It's a good day at work today, hallelujah." That was a quote. Some Wall Street employees came outside to see what was going on. Once they understood, some of them ran to the nearest delis and bought as many bagels as they could and gave them out to the people. Several others emptied their purses and wallets into the hands of the crowd. A crowd which remained peaceful and respectful throughout the event. There was no fighting over the money. Some people even gave part of what they had received to others standing alongside them. The police officers, meanwhile, stood on the sidelines, scratching their heads in amazement. It takes a lot to amaze a New York cop, I imagine. Claiborne notes, "Our goal was to proclaim a vision of God that is so big that everybody is part of it." And then he quoted Archbishop Desmond Tutu and said, "We want those who have been oppressed to be free from oppression, and we want those who have oppressed others to be set free from that role. We want everyone to be set free." And indeed, everyone was set free that day, free to love one another. Have you ever had a moment when you realized that everyone in the world is your sister, your brother, your partner, your friend? And if so, how did that feel? Think about it. Is there a moment when you have given that freedom, that love to someone who was oppressed, who was treated unfairly, or to someone who was treating you unfairly? Here's our next story, if you're ready. How many of you are familiar with the late, great author and lecturer, one of my favorites, Leo Buscaglia? Yeah. Why do the good always die young, right? He was asked one time to judge a contest, a very unusual contest, the purpose of which was to find the most caring child. So the title would be Most Caring Child. Parents and teachers had sent in stories ahead of time about kind actions they had seen children perform. It was a difficult task trying to find the most caring child since, as we all know, children often lead the way in kindness, don't they? They teach us, I think. They teach us how to care for one another. Eventually, Buscaglia chose the story of a 4-year-old boy whose next-door neighbor was an elderly man who had recently lost his wife. Upon seeing the old man crying as he sat on a lawn chair in his yard, the little boy walked over to him, and then he climbed up on his neighbor's lap. After a while, his mom called him home for lunch. She asked him what he had said to the neighbor. And he said, "Nothing, I just helped him cry. I just helped him cry." Is there a time when someone showed you compassion simply by being there? Can you recall a time when you showed someone you care without speaking a word? Take a couple moments. Are we ready for another story? Mm-hmm. Here's a story from The Sun Does Shine, a book by Anthony Ray Hinton, who spent 28 years on death row for a crime he did not commit. The police knew that Hinton, who was 29 years old at the time he was arrested and 54 when he was finally released from prison, probably wasn't guilty when they arrested him, and they said as much to him. This was in the Deep South. They said, "You might not be guilty of this, but you people are always doing something." And can you believe that he received very poor legal representation? I'm sure you can believe that, right? And of course, those without power or money usually do have poor representation. And yet, on the very day he was found guilty and sentenced to death row, the very day while he was still in the court, he asked if he could address the court. He offered words of forgiveness to each person who had held his life in their hands He told the members of the jury, as well as the judge, the bailiffs, and even the prosecutor, that he forgave them and that he loved them. During his nearly 3 decades behind bars, Hinton taught his fellow death row inmates the power of unconditional love through Bible studies and book studies. Keeping in mind he was innocent. His whole life is this. One of those men, a white supremacist who was about to be executed for his crimes, was asked if he had any final words. He said only one thing, that he was grateful to Hinton, a black man, a person from the group he had been taught to hate, who had taught him how to love. Have you been able to forgive someone who hurt you? Have you received forgiveness from someone to whom you were unkind, someone you treated unfairly? Let's come back. You've probably heard about the Buddhist monks who recently completed a walk for peace. Mm-hmm. The walk began in Texas, where this group of monks is based. The 19 monks walked first to their own state capital in Texas. Then they began the arduous journey of walking 2,300 miles to Washington, D.C. Though they were insulted by onlookers in one of the southern states, the monks offered nothing but love and peace to all who they met on the way. Their mission was to promote mindfulness, loving kindness, and national unity. As they walked, they distributed over 100,000 peace bracelets. Thousands of people joined their walk. When you might have seen some of the YouTubes, when they were in a certain city, any city, thousands of people would join in for a while. Others, in the hundreds and even thousands, were lining the route to cheer them on and hand them flowers as they passed by. Churches of every denomination provided shelter for them in their churches overnight. Traffic was backed up everywhere they went, yet no horns honked. Everyone was patient. All over the world, people tracked the progress of this walk online. I keep thinking what that must have been like for everybody to see that and to be in a moment of peace while they were seeing it. This has probably already changed the world before they even got there. Most of the monks began the journey in athletic shoes that wore out long before they reached the destination. People gave them new shoes, as well as water and words of encouragement as they continued their long journey. They walked through snow, torrential rain, and bitter temperatures. Each moment, it must have been hard, many of those moments, but each moment they chose to take the next step and then the next. Can we do any less? Just one step at a time? In November, one of the youngest monks was seriously injured in an accident involving their escort vehicle, which resulted in the amputation of one of his legs. When the walkers reached D.C., the young monk joyously welcomed them from a wheelchair. The walk, which took 15 weeks to complete, began on October 26th last year and ended in Washington, as you probably know, on February 10th, just a few days ago. 108 days. That is a long, long walk. When they arrived in Washington, a huge crowd greeted them, a huge silent crowd, silent as a sign of respect for the monks and their quest for peace. I don't know about you, but I looked at it and I just thought it was almost eerie. It was so quiet. They were just standing there in respect. It was emphasized that the walk was not a political statement, nor was it focused on advocacy or any upcoming legislation. As their leader, the Venerable Bhikkhu Panakara stated, "This is a spiritual offering, an invitation to live peace through everyday actions, mindful steps, and open hearts." We believe when peace is cultivated within, it naturally ripples outward into society. Sounds like a unity kind of an idea, doesn't it? Probably got it from them. Their message was very simple. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. So let's rest and reflect for a moment on those words. With peace in your heart, every step you take towards peace, every step you take is a step towards peace for the whole world. Every breath you take breathes peace into the world. So let's breathe for a couple minutes, just as you will, however you want to do it. I think we just uplifted the world a few notches, higher energy. I want to tell you something about yourselves. You have been sent to bring peace to the world and to receive it. Your peace, our peace, is the peace of the Christ, the peace of Jesus, who strengthens us at every step with every breath. I want to speak now of home. We all know that home is where the heart is. If you didn't, you heard it here because I've said it a couple times. I've thought a lot about that lately. I've thought about home, and sometimes I've wondered where my heart is. I've thought about the recent situation in Minneapolis and similar situations here in Ohio and in other parts of our country and in other parts of the world. So many people are being forced out of the only homes they've ever known, often at gunpoint. This is because of injustice or natural disasters or poverty. Even the loss of a job can cause someone to lose their home. So many children, the hope of the future for this entire world, are being tossed here and there, cast adrift in a world they don't yet understand. Will they ever have a true home, complete with food, shelter, clothing, and love? Where is there shelter for those who are oppressed? Except in the case of natural disasters, the cause of this tremendous upheaval is injustice and cruelty, and those are the actions of human beings, folks like us. That makes it so much harder, doesn't it? Because they are folks like us. We are good people here. Because we want to label the perpetrators as bad because they seem so different from us. It is so tempting to dehumanize them because they dehumanize, terrorize, and hurt other people. To, in effect, do what they're doing would be for us to dehumanize them. But we are called to something better than that, harder than that. We must see those who are hunted, and we must see those who are the hunters. We must look at every one of those faces. We must see the face of God in every face we see. The hunters are every bit as human as the hunted. The leaders, those who organize and order every travesty of injustice throughout the world, as travesty of justice throughout the world, they are also human beings. And boy, have I doubted that sometimes. We cannot look away. We cannot look away. We must look at it. We must look at them, and we must love them, all of them, as Jesus did. Is that not what he showed us, our way shower? As we go forth, let's remember that little boy who cared so much about his neighbor. Let's rejoice in the Wall Street story. Let's be humbled by the forgiveness and universal love modeled by Anthony Ray Hinton. Let's remember that every breath we take, as the monks showed us, can bring peace to ourselves and to the world. I'm sorry, I guess I am preaching a little bit. I just want to say love. It does always come back to love, doesn't it? Because there is nothing else. Anything else is an illusion. We are all one. What is done to one of us is done to all of us. What is done by one of us is done by all of us. But love, it's love always that we need to return to, because every day is Valentine's Day. And my heart that I was worried about, I find it is right where it has always been, here with each of you. You are my models, you are my hope, you are my loves. And so it is. Amen.